was we finally got that RE8 demo gameplay. We got the Maiden demo released. We got some news on a multiplayer game from them. So let's jump into that. So we got Resident Evil Village. So it's some notes on what was revealed at that stream. So it's coming out May 7th. It's on PS5, Xbox Series, PC, as well as last gen. I guess I expected that. What are your thoughts on them releasing on last gen as well as current gen?
Yeah, I think it's to be expected, and I think the Maiden demo to be released like exactly when they announced that was a good call, because you've got a lot of people complaining. You've got people complaining that it's on current platform, which it is a shame a little bit, but you've got to understand why they're doing it, especially the amount of people who still don't have PS5s.
Yep.
But I think it was a good call doing the Maiden demo as well, because what a lot of people don't realize is that isn't the demo that's coming out later. That's just a kind of museum walkthrough for people who have PS5s to see, you know, the new 3D audio that the PS5 can sort of do, and the ray tracing and the smooth frame rates. And it's just to show what's in store for the PS5 players and what's in store for the PS5 version, because there hasn't been a huge amount, in my opinion, of the 3D audio shown off in the games I've played. But when I played Maiden, I was completely like, without even thinking about it, I completely noticed straight away that the audio was on a completely different level. But yeah, I think it's understandable that it's coming to our platforms, but I think it'll be fine because it looks unbelievable. The graphics are so good that there is no reason to be, you know, pissed that it's coming to current gen when it looks that good.
Yeah, the RE engine is insanely versatile. Where I mean, we've seen it on PS4 and it looks awesome. RE7 looked great. The remasters of 2 and 3 looked amazing. So this engine has definite legs on it. So it's going to look fine on current gen or last gen, and look even better on next gen with the different, you mentioned audio features, ray tracing. So it's going to be great. And yeah, that's of course because we're still in this middle window, which happens every gen, where you have this cross gen release, and everyone, you know, they know where the money is. Everyone has PS4, so it's like you gotta make sure you have a presence there. Hold your horses on Maiden, Callum. We still have. Let's talk about Reverse. So they talked about their multiplayer game that they were kind of teasing. They showed it off. So the Capcom revealed Reverse, a multiplayer title featuring major characters from the Resident Evil universe. It'll be available for free for anyone who buys Village, and they showed off some gameplay in that trailer. What do you think about this? We talked about how these really don't, you know, call out to us, but does this bother you? Is this something that might pique your interest?
Yeah, I think it. I think I was pleasantly surprised is probably the best way to put it. I did say before, you know, I don't think they need to do this, but I think it actually looks pretty fun, and I think the different visual style they've gone for, that kind of cell shaded, hexagonal, pixelated sort of filter they've got on things, kind of separates it as well as something not to take too seriously. I mean, you've got Leon turning into Nemesis, so I think it's pretty easy to take seriously. It pressed all the right buttons for me. I think it looks like a fun little thing. It's a bit strange how the characters are quite small in comparison to like the rooms, but yeah, I think it looks like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to, you know, playing as Nemesis, or, you know, fighting against all these different characters. And I like it when a game like Resident Evil that has so many characters across so many different games, I like it when these universes sort of collide. I mean, I'm a big fan of like Final Fantasy Dissidia and all these kind of crossover things. So yeah, I think it's, out of, you know, everything they could have done, I think it's a pretty good effort.
Yeah, they mentioned that the shrinking of the characters was so that you have all these various, you know, size characters like Nemesis going along with the humans, and so they shrunk those characters down so they could fit in this mansion. I imagine there's other levels that they're not going to show off just yet too, but it's interesting. It looks like a fun, you know, multiplayer experience. This one, I think I'm a little bit more interested to play versus Resistance, but it just looks more arcadey and fun, and just easy to jump into. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, they keep doing this. They're trying to crack that code, trying to get people, you know, paying for their version of V-Bucks or RE Bucks, which will eventually do something like that. They're trying to, you know, succeed with this multiplayer, always on kind of thing. And so as long as it doesn't, you know, affect other stuff. Like it doesn't make it so other RE releases take longer. And maybe it will, but I think it doesn't hurt for them to just keep trying to make something that's successful. It's hard for them to look at, say, Fortnite and all these other popular shooters where they have this engine, they have these characters that people love. They want to try and crack that code. So I don't mind it. They'll keep trying, and that's cool. And it's free. It comes with Resident Evil Village, so that's cool too.
Yeah,
It's just a pleasant surprise, I guess. But yeah,
it's got
that
Ada Wong, so you can't really complain.
yep, you got Ada Wong. If they get the tall lady in there, I'm in there day one. I tell you what.
That'll be some DLC or something.
Yeah,
They'll prey on you for that for sure.
I'll pay the money for that tall lady. But she's got to be tall. You got to keep her tall. I don't want her shrunken down. None of that nonsense. She's got to be, trying to cower over
tall,
stuff.
tall in all the right ways.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So we got along with that, they released the RE8 demo for Maiden that same day. So you've played it, I played it. What are your thoughts on this kind of not really demo, but like a walkthrough experience kind of thing with this engine?
Yeah, I loved it. I think it displayed all the right things. We had our great visuals, great light. I mean, amazing lighting. Kind of different environments as well. You've got the sort of dark dungeon and then the sort of really nice, majestic sort of mansion as well. The audio was really unexpectedly good as well. I mean, really set a horrible ambience. I was constantly looking over my shoulder in the game, and it wants you to take your time and search things and examine things like all Resident Evil, because otherwise you risk the you risk having to go back on yourself, which is normally where they not like to put all their horrible things in. But yeah, I loved it, and it displayed a few of these backtracky sort of not puzzles, but bits you have to examine and things like that, and it was terrifying without even having to have any physical enemies there. I mean, obviously they are at the very end, but yeah, I thought it was just the right amount of showing off that we want, especially considering we haven't had a huge amount of big next gen games. So yeah, it's made me really excited, and I'm excited for the proper demo as well.
Yeah, I think they mentioned right away that there's no combat, and the fact that there isn't combat made me even more terrified. I think because I don't have a way to defend myself or to attack, so I was even more on edge, which I loved. And you mentioned the sound design. Yeah, it's great. There's times where I'm walking around and my footsteps make so much noise, and it's almost like I have four sets of feet because I'm just walking around and like tap dancing apparently. But it keeps you on edge. Where is that my footsteps? Is that an enemy's? What's going on? But yeah, it's very creepy when you start off in that dungeon. I did have to backtrack early on in that dungeon for something, and I got my first jump scare where a body or like a body bag falls out of the ceiling, and it's just like, oh god. And so that was great. It's so creepy and gory too, which is just standard Resident Evil. I think they're nailing this mansion as well. Like I can't wait to roam around in it. It reminds me of like say the first Resident Evil, where you have this really advanced looking or creepy rather mansion that's very fancy, and just something's wrong, something's off in it. Yeah, I loved it. I loved the you eventually meet the the baddies at the end. You got the sisters, and then eventually the tall lady. Interacting with them was really cool. Having them call out to you and kind of just talk trash as you're walking around for a little bit. That was very creepy. Yeah, it's really sets up my excitement for Resident Evil 8, and I can't wait.
Yeah, and what I noticed as well was that sort of the notes you find and just a lot of different environmental things were done so intricately as well. Like I remember I found a note about how the maidens of the mansion had been locked up, and so you're like, oh, that must be what I am, because I was in the dungeon. It spoke a little bit about the sisters and the vampires, and I found a note as well saying about how they're turning blood into wine, and then you can find like this little teacup with blood in it. And it's just very, you can tell that they really want to try and use these new ways to show you things to really nail some sort of storytelling, because I don't think Resident Evil's ever been that great at that, but this seems so much more elegant in the way it told a story just in that short 20-minute experience as well. But yeah, it's funny you say about sort of having to backtrack. It's like when I found the little sort of eye in the goblet. And when I saw it was an eye, I was like, oh, that means I'm going to have to go back upstairs
Yep.
and go to that room. And I remember previously when I didn't know what to do, I'd been looking around, and I don't know if you got the same audio cue, but you could hear somebody walking down the stairs and talking. And I was like, oh, I've got to go back upstairs now because I've got this eye, and that clearly goes in that door. And I was just like, and that's what makes a Resident Evil game for me, is knowing that you have to go back through a way you've already been. And you might have already, the first time you went through that way, you might have been like, oh god, I'm glad to be out of here, and then you realize you have to go back that way. And it's just such a effective sort of scare tactic, and it really, without anything even happening in the game, I was terrified because I knew that I had to go back the way I came, which is normally they like to hide their jump scares. So even when they don't have anything, just that worry that there's going to be something there now is always present. But yeah, I loved it. It just got me really excited. But also, I'm now really scared to play it. So there's that too. I saw the I don't know if you saw the image of the map that sort of, I don't know if it got leaked or shared or whatever.
No, I haven't seen that.
But I saw how big it is as well. And I was like, oh god, there's going to be so many opportunities for me to be terrified in this game. But yeah, I can't wait. It's definitely one of the top games on my radar this year.
Yeah, you mentioned the terror in this game. They really nail almost keeping you like just a few steps away from the tall lady. And now her name she's always going to be Tall Lady in my mind, but they gave her name. It's Lady Desakutra, I want to say.
Petrescu or something. It's something like
Lady Petrol, something like that. Anyways, she they always keep you like a couple steps, at least in the basement or in the dungeon, behind her. Like you can hear her or somebody opening doors, closing doors, and then eventually get to the mansion. Now you hear those footsteps. You can actually catch that first vampire lady as she's walking up the stairs. Before she attacks you, you can catch her walking up if you move fast enough, and then she just disappears into what look like locusts or some kind of bugs. That was a cool little bit if you move fast enough. You can also find the tall lady has like her dress kind of set up in the corner. So I'm playing, my wife's next to me and she's just like, what's that? And I thought it was a tall lady just in this corner, and I about shit my pants. Yeah. Yeah, she shit my pants, but also was attracted. It's just very yeah. It's a very weird mix of emotions, but and it was just there in the corner. I was like, oh shit. So there's all these just different little bits that you might miss the first time, and yeah, I'm really on board. I think they nail with this last with RE7 and RE8. They build that mystery really well. So with the family in RE7, you want to know what's going on because they're so creepy and weird. And then the same thing in RE8 where you have the tall lady, you have whatever's going on with her sister's daughters in this mansion. They set up that mystery really well where you want to know what's going on. And then that is the carrot on the stick and kind of keeps you going, even though the game is going to be terrifying. It's like, I want to know, I want to discover, but also that combat is so solid. So yeah, I just cannot wait for this game.
Yeah, I had to ask a friend about a part as well after I'd finished it, because I don't know if you had the same thing, but when you get the lockpick, so you get out of the dungeon, something happens behind you, and it sounds like something's like woken up and is like chasing you.
Oh,
and so
right.
I unlocked the thing and just ran. Didn't look back. I was like, I don't want to know what that is. So I said to him, I was like, after he finished, I was like, did you see what it was that chases you? Because I did not look. And he said that apparently you don't see anything, but there's like something banging on a wall or something. And I think it was probably one of I don't know if you've seen in the trailer those like weird zombie things that seem to come out in like the darkness.
Oh, sure.
So I'm not sure if it was something like that, but yeah, that had me running and not wanting to know what was behind me, which is a shame because one of the first rooms you go into is that like beautifully lit room with like the mural of what looks sort of like a Greek kind of.
Right, that was really cool.
Thing. Yeah, and I just ran through that room because I didn't want to know what was behind me.
Yeah, they're talking about how they're using ray tracing, and Digital Foundry did a breakdown, and they can confirm whatever tech they use, they can tell that there are ray tracing elements. So I can't wait for them to really just expose the lighting and take advantage of that PS5 hardware. It's gonna just make this game pop and look even more beautiful. Yeah, there was aspects of, because there's no combat, the first time you meet the first vampire lady, she shows up and basically takes a bite out of you. It was even more terrifying because it's like, I have no way to defend myself. I just have to run. And eventually you find a big lady, the Sukatra or whatever. She's tall lady. She's always tall lady to me. She shows up and takes you out, and I'm just like, yes, please. Man, just a great little, intro demo to this game. And you mentioned, yeah, there is a full-fledged demo coming out pretty soon. They said springtime, so can't wait for that. Even this would be enough to tie me over, but I also cannot wait for that demo.
Yeah, well, I think it is almost identical to how Resident Evil 7 was rolled out because obviously this time the big thing is the PS5, and with Resident Evil 7 it was VR.
Mm,
So with 7 we had the kitchen demo, which is sort of on par with Maiden. Which the kitchen demo was literally you put the VR headset on and you're sat in a chair, like you can't even move. It's just kind of like a little sort of horror thing. And then you had the beginning hour, which was the proper Resident Evil 7 demo. So this is exactly the same. Maiden's like the VR showcase, but for PS5, showing off the ray tracing, the 3D audio, and then you've got the proper demo coming out for everybody. Because I've seen a lot of people, really complaining about anti-consumerism and all of this, but it's not that they don't want everybody to try it. It's that this is only capable of being played on the PS5. This demo, so it's not. This isn't. No one's missing out. This is just showing off what the PS5 can do more, just as much as showing off what Resident Evil can.
Yeah, and there's an aspect of, Bill's got to get paid. They made this deal with PlayStation to kind of align with them. You notice in that stream, they only mention PlayStation consoles, but of course it's coming to other consoles. So that's part of the deal. They make these deals and they kind of have to toe the line, and but everyone's gonna get it. It's just gonna take some time, and
Yeah,
that's standard now. So I'm not sure why everyone's
yeah.
complaining
I
about
mean,
it.
Resident Evil is a PlayStation sort of series. It's one of the most iconic PlayStation series. Like one of the first. If you think about PlayStation 1, one of the first games you'll think about is 2 or something like that. I,
Right.
I think the original Resident Evil was actually Nintendo, maybe, but you know what I mean. It's very much affiliated with PlayStation, and same as like Metal Gear Solid is, and things
Yep.
like that. Um, so yeah, so I don't see it as an anti-consumer move at all. It's just more like that this is what it's obviously a deal for money, of course, but it's not. It doesn't surprise me, and it shouldn't surprise anybody that there's some kind of exclusivity on a technical demo, which of all things, which isn't really much to worry about.
Yeah. Nice, Callum. So we'll end it there for our RE8 talk. Now, there is some news on Resident Evil 4. So I noticed in that stream, there was no mention on RE4 remake or remaster, and I was expecting some kind of news on that. And I think we have some stuff that has come out, which it might explain why. So